Some of the stories you're about to hear sound like they're ripped straight out of a horror movie, but the wild part is they didn't come from Hollywood writers. They came from real people, real experiences. And today, I'm going to be reading through some of those weird, creepy stories sent in, the kind that will make you question if you'll sleep tonight. Her voice changed and said, "I will destroy this family." Welcome back to Spooky Storytime, where I'm just going to pick a place on my inbox, read a story, click next, read a story, click next. We're doing this because I literally have thousands of your weird, unexplainable stories in my inbox, and I want to share as many of them as I possibly can. I don't know if they're going to be long, I don't know if they're going to be short, I don't know if they're going to be good, I don't know if they're going to make any sense, but we're just going to pick a place to start and we're going to see what we get. What's up, glitches? I'm Jess, people call me Anti-Matrix, and I read your weird, unexplainable stories about things like glitches in the Matrix, dreams, aliens, and the paranormal. All the stories that we read are people's real, true experiences that they send in to me. And our motto in this community is "We believe you." If you want to join our glitch community on Discord, if you want to join in on the lives, if you want to get some Anti-Matrix merch, or if you want to grab a copy of my book, A Glitch in the Matrix, all those links are in the description below. If you have a story that you want to share, you can send it to antimatrix@gmail.com. Just a reminder that Glitch Community Plus members here on YouTube get early access to videos, which means they get to see these videos a day or two before everybody else. They also get a little badge next to their name, a special role in my Discord, and access to over 20 custom emotes that can be used in lives and the comment section on my videos. If you'd like to become a member, you can click the join button next to my profile picture. But right now, let's get started, so sit back, grab a snack, and let's get wee! Hi, Anti-Matrix. Hi! I am new to the channel and I'm so mad that I didn't find you sooner. Anyway, I would love to share some experiences I have had. Hope you enjoy. My husband and I had just moved to Las Vegas from Seattle, and shortly after, because of a few bad life choices and terrible friends, we became homeless. Oh my goodness, I'm so sorry. One night, my husband and I were sleeping in a park. We woke up to someone screaming and wailing. They sounded as if they were being unalived. It was nothing we had ever heard before. We looked across the field. It was a smaller park, and we saw one of the homeless guys flailing and flinging himself about. His screams turned into many screams, demonic even. It was pretty dark, so we mostly saw his silhouette. That silhouette turned into many silhouettes. There were creatures, some with ratty wings, some with flesh missing from them. The light from behind them shone through the missing flesh. These things looked like they were pulling at his clothes and skin, violently pushed and pulled him around. The man's shrieks were the scariest part. My husband and I looked at each other and we just started praying. And as we prayed, these entities stopped what they were doing, turned toward us so we could see their red glowing eyes, and disappeared into the ground. The man stopped moving in unnatural twisted positions, pulled a blanket over himself, and I'm assuming went back to sleep. So did we. The next morning, we woke up and walked over to the man and his wife and asked if he was okay. She gave me a weird look and said, "Oh yeah, he's fine. He was just withdrawing from something he took." The man looked at us as if he just wanted us to leave it alone and go away, so we did. The next morning, I woke up to someone screaming, "Hey!" into my face, and nobody was there. This happened every morning for a week until one morning I opened my eyes just as the sun was rising. There was a scraggly looking man, so skinny his bones jutted out. His hair was long, greasy, and dirty, and wild looking. He was hunched over with the sunrise backlighting him, so I couldn't see his features. He slowly shambled toward me. I was paralyzed with fear and sleep paralysis. I could only watch. When he got close to me, he bent down and screamed, "Hey!" right in my face. I finally snapped out of it and he was gone, and thank God I haven't seen him or heard him yell in my face ever since. I've had many experiences, some scary, some just plain weird, and some were beautiful. But the last, but certainly not least, story I want to leave you with was probably in the just plain weird category. For context, my husband and I were still homeless when I had this experience, and we're actively trying to get our lives back together. We stopped walking in the path of evil, and we were about a week away from getting off the streets and started a new healthy and beautiful life with a roof over our heads. I was asleep on a bench outside of a community center, my husband on the ground next to me. I had a big comforter over me, and it was big enough to cover the whole bench, making it hard to see anything I put under the bench where I had set my purse and a basket of food. I remember having a wild dream about flying through the cosmos, visiting different planets, and zooming through clouds of stardust. I remember telling myself it was time to go back. I was going to wake up soon. I remember hovering about 20 to 30 feet above my body. As I was coming in for a landing, I stopped abruptly because a man had walked up to my sleeping body and was looking at me. He stopped and stared at my husband and I sleeping for a while, probably to gauge how asleep we were, because as soon as he realized we were completely out cold, he bent over behind the bench I was sleeping on, reached under, and stole my purse. The last thing I remember was thinking, if I wake up and look under this bench and my purse is gone, I'm going to freak out. When morning came and I opened my eyes, you can probably guess what happened. I freaked out. I watched myself get robbed from 20 feet above my sleeping body. I saw who did it and what they looked like, what they wore, everything. I got up and told my husband everything. We packed our stuff and walked over to the community center to take a shower. As we approached the front of the building, sleeping in a covered doorway, was the man I saw take my purse. And my purse was laying there beside him. My husband and I just looked at each other, didn't say a word, and took my purse back. Reality hasn't been the same for me ever since. The experiences I had have become more a normal part of life now. I have many more stories and can submit more if you're interested. Thanks for listening. Thank you. Okay, let's talk about the first one first, okay? Because this guy with all of these things attacking him, and then his wife saying that he took some kind of substance. We've talked about this many times before, but a lot of the times when someone is very depressed, mentally ill, or on drugs or something like that, they either attract negative beings and entities, or those things are happening to them because they already have negative beings or entities attached to them. In this case, because they went away afterwards when you were looking at them and they like went into the ground, which by the way, this whole thing is fucking terrifying. I'm going to assume that they came to him because of the substance that he was taking, which is so freaking crazy. And the way that he looked at you, I'm assuming he remembered what exactly happened and he didn't want to talk about it with his wife, or maybe like not at all. But that whole thing, and the fact that he could just go back to sleep afterwards, I guess is because I was going to say, how could you go back to sleep? How could you just like lay down and go back to sleep and not be freaking out? But I guess because he was on a substance, like that's why. And you guys went back to sleep too. But that is so scary. When you were talking about these beings and the way they were moving and stuff, it was giving me vibes of like from Ghost, you know, those like little black shadow things that come and get the bad people and they drag them down into the ground. That's like exactly what I was seeing. But that was so scary for you to see. And then the second one, you were 100,000% astral projecting, and you were going around into the planets and you were just astral projecting and traveling everywhere. You were just astral traveling. And I love that you like came in for a landing and you saw the person stealing your shit, and then you were able to get it back and you were like, that's him. There's my purse, taking it back. That is so crazy. I'm very interested to know if you have astral traveled other times besides that, if that's like a normal thing that you do. Oh my God, wait, I almost forgot the middle thing with the like weird old bony man entity that gave you sleep paralysis and was yelling, hey, in your face. I don't know who that was. There must have been some shit around that park, maybe because there were so many people in such bad spots in their lives that these beings were attracted to them, or maybe some people had some shit attached to them and they were in the park, or maybe the park just has shit attached. I have no idea, but that is so scary. I'm glad that he hasn't been back since, but very scary. These were great stories though. Thank you so much for sharing. I would love for you to share more, and let me know what you guys think about all these in the comments. Hello, Auntie. Hi, this one is a picture. I've been following you for quite a while now and try to watch your lives as often as possible. I love that. I don't really have a story to go with this photo. I just thought that I would share. I was at my friend's house and was playing with the settings on my camera as we were planning to take my girls out to take autumn pictures and captured this. Neither of us smoked, so there were no candles or anything burning. The pictures before and after didn't have anything in them, so it's been a baffling but interesting photo ever since it was taken. Let's take a look. Whoa, my God. Okay. I immediately feel like this looks like a skull or or like a face. Like we have like the eyes, the nose, and like the mouth down here. But what is this part then? What could this part be? This is really weird. And there was no smoke anywhere, so I don't know what this could have been. You definitely caught something on camera, whether this is like a spirit. Okay, the more I stare at it, the creepier it gets. I still can't figure out what this might be, but I'm not a fan of this at all. I don't love the energy that it gives. Not saying that it is definitely like an evil something, just don't love it. You definitely caught something that is like really spooky. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments. Like, do you see the face? What do you think this is? And do you think it's something else? What kind of feeling do you get from the picture is my question. But this was really weird. Thank you so much for sharing this picture. Hi, Auntie. Hi. First of all, I love your videos. I'm a new subscriber. Thank you for subscribing. And I love that your motto is "We believe you." Yes, we do. We believe you. Because I have a story about how I discovered that a ghost photo had been passed around from one family member to the next since before I was born. This photo was of my father's grandfather with his mother, his siblings, and a mysterious woman nobody knew by name. It had always just been in our home as I grew up. I wondered when I was younger why nobody ever thought to research the mystery woman's name, but just figured it would always just be that. A mystery. We all grew up assuming that the woman must have been where my family got our height from, as she stood almost 2 feet taller than the men in the photo. I found out later that my aunt, my father's older sister, actually had the photo before us, as she received it when their mother had passed away, when my dad was only 8 years old. She then gave it to my dad before I was born because she stated that she didn't like it and that she didn't know exactly why, but it always had given her the creeps. Anyways, several years ago, I got really into ancestry and wanted to know our past and our relatives. I remember this photo and wanted to finally figure out the mystery woman's name and what her story was. I started researching on Ancestry.com to get the answers, but by doing this, that is when I discovered the truth about why nobody in my family could tell me who she was. What I found was the original photo, and then discovered that there was one thing missing: the mystery woman. I then took out the photo and really started to examine it to make sure that it wasn't just a different photo. What I discovered was it was the exact same photo because nobody in the photo had changed positions literally at all. As I stated before, this woman stood almost 2 feet taller than the men in the photo, but based on her body proportions, it seemed to be the accurate height for her. When I looked closer, I almost fell out of my chair. I started yelling to my mom, "Oh my God, she's not there! She's a ghost!" What I found when I looked closer was I could actually see through her chest and could see the quilt that was hung up behind them. Everyone was just as baffled as I was, and I had no explanation for it. I then called my aunt and explained to her what I had found and confirmed that this is probably why the photo had made her feel so uneasy. She was just as confused as we were and didn't know how she could have missed it. I've since then had others ask if it could just have been a double exposure of another photo. I explained that I didn't think so and that it just didn't make sense to me, because this photo had been in the same picture frame since before 1960, and the woman's image is standing directly behind the men in the photo, and that I believe if it had been a double exposure, the rest of her body would have bled into those around her. It perfectly stopped just behind them. I know others will try to find some way to explain this away, but I will always believe that this was a spirit that decided to photobomb my great-grandfather, LOL. I will attach the photos below, oh yes, so that you can maybe give some feedback and tell me what you think. And again, thank you so much for all that you do. The first photo attached below is the photo I found on Ancestry, and the second is the ghost image. Tell me if you find this as creepy as I do. This looks like the first. Okay, so this is the first picture, and this is the second picture. This is the one that they have. Who is that woman? She gives me the creeps. It is literally giving me the creeps. I don't like it. Hold on. I'm just going to be like I'm trying to look at these people's like expressions too. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Oh, and there's the baby. I was like, where's the little tiny baby one? I'm going back and forth, and they do seem to be the same. Like, I'm not seeing any differences. And now let me, oh my God, they're right. Look at this. You can literally see the quilt through her. You can see it through her. This is such a good photo. That's absolutely a spirit. A spirit definitely photobombed. Look at that. First of all, why is she so tall? Why is she so much bigger? Do we think she was actually this tall, the spirit, or do we think that she's like floating and that's why she appears this tall? Also, correct me if I'm wrong, but she's giving me like a Native American vibe a little bit in the way that her face is. And I don't see that same facial structure really in the other people, although I could just be like seeing that, but that is what I am seeing. This is crazy. Like the fact that you can see through her, amazing. This is literally amazing. Definitely a spirit. Let me know what you guys think in the comments, and thank you so much for sharing. This was so cool. Hey, Anti-Matrix. Hi. This is kind of a long, spooky story. Love those ones. And I also attached a photo of the house so you could see how old it looks and tell me what you see in the picture. Oh my God, we've had 3 pictures in a row. I'm literally loving this. We love photo and video and audio evidence, so if you ever have any that goes with your story, please feel free to attach it. My family and I moved to a house at the top of a hill that looked over the city. You could see the stars and city lights so perfectly at nighttime. It was in a town called Arroyo Grande in California. The house was built in the late 1960s, and you could tell. There was hidden doors all over the house, types of doors you would push the wall in and 2 doors would open. Kinda cool, kinda scary. I agree, kinda cool, kinda scary. Me and my 2 older brothers thought it was so cool to live there at first. Small things started happening, like when we would wake up, the front door would be wide open, which was impossible because my dad is the type of guy that will check to make sure the door was locked, maybe 3 or 4 times before we went to bed. He still does this to this day. Me and my brothers would stay up late watching TV and movies downstairs, and we would hear footsteps down the stairs and go into the kitchen and open and slam the cupboards. The microwave would even open and close, as we always joked around saying we have a hungry ghost that lives here. I swear to God, why do all the ghosts need to hang out in the kitchen? I don't know why, but I really don't like it, and it always creeps me out. It didn't scare us at first. We just kind of laughed it off and didn't want to put much thought into it, because when you do, it feeds off of that. That is actually very true, and that was a good decision. My brothers would always tell me, don't talk to it, don't think of it, and don't let it think you're scared. I thought I had enough courage, but turned out I didn't. At night, when I had to use the bathroom, I'd run to the bathroom, turn the light on before I walked into the bathroom, and it always felt like something or someone was watching me. So sometimes I'd leave that bathroom light on and run back to my room. And this is one of the reasons I leave all my lights on in my house at all times. No, for real though, I'll turn off the bedroom light, but I have to have hallway lights on, and like the bathroom light is always on, just in case, just in case. We tried telling our parents about the stuff we heard. I don't know if they didn't want to believe us or if the spirit was only attached to me and my brothers. Me and my brothers would wake up with scratches and bite marks. One time my brother woke up with a handprint in his thigh that was bigger than my dad's hand. And mind you, he's a pretty big guy. They just thought my brother slept with his hand on his thigh and it left a mark. I'm sorry, parents. First of all, believe your children. Second of all, if your children have fucking bite marks and scratches and handprints, believe your children. Thank you. Thanks for listening. One day, me and my oldest brother were downstairs. He was at the dinner table eating cereal, and I was sitting on the couch watching TV when all of a sudden we hear loud, heavy footsteps sounding like the footsteps on Paranormal Activity walking down the stairs. We thought it was going to stop at the bottom of the stairs, but we were wrong, and it kept walking. Went in between my brother and I and stopped at my bedroom, and the door handle just started shaking like crazy. Then my door swung open and the light turned on, but my light was a garage light, like the ones you have to plug it in for it to turn on. And my brother walked over to my room and the light wasn't even plugged in. My brother looked at me and said, "Come on, let's go play some video games in my room." So we ran upstairs. A couple of days go by and we had some of my brother's friends over and we decided to play hide and go seek in the house. Guys, I know we like hide and go seek, okay, but sometimes it can be really scary. I've had a lot of really scary hide and go seek stories. Of course, I was it. We had these old drape curtains. Oh God, I see where this is going. You know when someone is standing behind them because you can literally see their outline of their body. And I saw that and I said out loud, "You're stupid, I can see you," and started walking over to the curtains. And as soon as I got a foot away, I heard the Paranormal Activity footsteps running behind me. And as soon as I turned around, a body cushion from the couch got thrown at me. And then I fell and a dining room chair got thrown at me and I screamed and everyone came running from up the stairs. Oh my God. I was the only one downstairs. My dad then started to believe us. Thankfully, I was first going to be like, okay, this is like a kid spirit and it wants to hang out and play hide and seek with you. But when it's throwing stuff at you, nope, I have so many chills, so many chills, so many chills. This is one of my brother's stories from the house. He was trying to fall asleep but kept hearing stuff. My mom always told us if we get scared to always pray and ask God for help. My brother started praying and he heard the Paranormal Activity footsteps walking up the stairs to his room, and he started praying out loud, and he said as soon as he was going to say the word God, a huge hand covered his mouth and said, "We don't say that name in this house." And whatever it was stood at the foot of his bed and watched him the rest of the night. Oh my God, I'm gonna go hide in my shirt now. Thank you very much. This is so scary. He moved out after that and lived with his friends. He would tell us that when he was trying to fall asleep at his friends, he would hear the same footprints and would hear a voice saying, "Come home, we miss you." He never came back to that house. To this day, we promise to never step foot on that property again. This story was so scary. And here's the picture. And we're supposed to say if we see anything in the picture. Okay, so here is the picture. Besides the fact that I literally see 1,000,000 bajillion orbs, unless you guys were playing with bubbles or maybe the lens was dirty or something, like that's the only things I can think of. But there's like a bajillion orbs. Now I want to see if I see anything else. Does anyone else see anything here that I could be missing? Like a person or an outline of a figure or a face somewhere? This is a face, but this looks like it's like a picture. We have this, and you're not going to give me any clues. I'm going to go with, I'm assuming it's the 1,000,000,000 orbs. Let me know in the comments if you see anything else. And to the person that sent this story in, please let me know if that's what it was. Is it all the orbs or am I missing something? Because a lot of times if there's a face or something, I'm very bad at seeing these things and I need someone to point it out to me. There was something definitely in this house. It's weird that I'm seeing like so many orbs in this picture, if that's what it is, but it seems like there was just like this one main entity. I wonder if there was like this main evil entity that was like holding other beings and spirits captive in the house. Do you know what I mean? Like there's one in charge who like everyone needed to stay. But this one was scary. He covered your brother's freaking mouth with his hand and said, "We don't say that name in this house." I'm sorry. This was really scary. Holy moly. Pasta fagioli. Let me know what you guys think about this story in the comments. Please and thank you. Never go. You guys need a priest in that house. If there's people still in this house, like we need a priest. We need to bring a priest in and cleanse this whole motherfucker because, oh my God. Thank you so much for sharing your story. Hey, Auntie. Hi. I want to say I love your channel. I have lots of stories to share with you. Yay. This first one is going to be long because I have to give some backstory. When I was a teenager, we moved into this beautiful brick house. We were a big family, 7 children and my mother and stepdad. The house was owned by a family friend, Pee-wee. Stop. I'm sorry. Was his name really Pee-wee? Like Pee-wee Herman? I didn't think that was like a real name. Or did you guys just call him Pee-wee? I have so many questions about Pee-wee. Okay, moving on. And his father had recently passed away in the attic of the house. Now, none of the adults told us children about that. Pee-wee had nailed the attic door shut with gutter spikes and told us that we couldn't go up there because it wasn't finished. Now, my room was directly across the hall from the attic door. Wait, hold on. I also have a question. Do we think that Pee-wee's father passed away in the attic because he unalived himself in the attic? Or did he just happen to like literally, was it a regular attic where you're storing stuff? Or was it like, maybe there's more information in the story and I'm jumping the gun? We'll just keep going. Now, my room was directly across the hall from the attic door. My 2 brothers' room was next to mine and my 3 sisters' room was next to theirs and open to the stairs. Everything was cool for the first few weeks. School started back and I was usually the first one home. This particular day, I had a lot of homework to do, so I went up to my room and shut my door and began doing my work. About 15 or 20 minutes had passed and I heard some heavy steps coming down the stairs. I figured it was my brothers. My doorknob rattled and the door opened. I looked up expecting to see my brother, but there was no one there. I got up and went into the hallway and said, "I'm busy, leave me alone." I shut my door and locked it. A few minutes later, the doorknob rattled, the lock popped, and the door opened. I yelled that I was going to tell Mom if they didn't leave me alone. I slammed the door, locked it, and sat on the edge of my bed and waited. Sure enough, once again, the knob rattled, the lock popped, and the door flew open and hit the wall. I jumped out ready to lay into whoever was messing with me, but the hallway was empty. I ran to the other bedrooms and they were empty. I heard the heavy footsteps coming towards me. I bolted to the steps and I ran to the front door and ran across the street to my aunt's house to tell her someone is in the house. My uncle runs across the street to our house and searches the house, but there wasn't anyone there. That was my first experience, but I have plenty more. Thank you for reading this. Why are we getting so many scary stories right off the bat? We've had so many. Okay, so hold on. So now after reading this, Pee-wee said, oh, that the attic wasn't finished. Now, okay, number one, maybe it was finished and the father lived up there and he passed up there. But if it wasn't finished, or even if it, just had like, it was for storage or something, did he unalive himself up there? That's my question. I want to know how the father passed. Not that it really plays that big of a role, but I was just wondering how he passed. Also, I was wondering if maybe the room that you were staying in was his room originally, and that's why he kept trying to get into it. Like, he was like coming into the room, and then you close and lock the door, and he's like, no, I'm getting into the fucking room. And then you close and lock the door, and he was like, I'm getting into the room because it's my room. And then he was like following you. I wonder if, do you think he doesn't know that he's dead? Wouldn't that be nuts? I know you didn't actually see him, which is like even fucking scarier. Shit's happening and you're not seeing something. Actually, I don't know. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments. Do you think it's scarier to hear somebody walking towards you and seeing things happening, like doors opening in front of you, but no one's there? Or do you think it's scarier that you also see the spirit doing those things? Like, which one do you think is scarier? Did you stay living at this place? I'm assuming that you did. Did anyone believe you about it? Like, I have so many questions. This story was really scary and you have plenty more. So I'm going to say probably you did stay in that house and more things happened. I wonder if it was the same entity, the same spirit that was like bothering you in the house in these other stories, or if it was something else or something different. I don't know. I'm sure we would love to hear them. Let me know what you guys think in the comments about this story. And thank you so much for sharing. Hi, Auntie. How are you? Hi. So this story is kind of insane, and I still don't know how this can be possible. So my brother and I are dating two siblings, and things are going well. Double dates and stuff. We've been going out for a short time, so we're all in the phase of getting to know each other. And here's my thing. My brother's girlfriend has the same name as me, and my boyfriend has the same name as my brother. Crazy, right? But what's even more interesting is that my boyfriend and my brother both share the same exact model car, and the license plate is the same. It just has one number that is different. And my brother's car is white and my boyfriend's car is black. The car is not a common car. Only two people in our town have that model car, and they are my brother and my boyfriend. Also, what's crazy is that their last name is my mother's maiden name, which is also unbelievable. We are not related. It's just a common last name. But the other thing that shook me to my core is that our parents have the same names, and our aunts and uncles have the same names as well. And we do kind of look alike, all tall with dark brown hair and eyes. All I'm thinking about is this some kind of glitch? Could this be a parallel universe type thing? Because we all live in the same small town where everyone knows each other and they live just down the street from us. We have never crossed paths or met prior to this, and we literally grew up just down the street from each other. How is it possible that our paths have never crossed prior to this? How is it possible that we've never even heard of each other? We all live in a small town where everyone knows each other. Keep that in mind. How is it possible that we all have the same names? How is it possible that the cars are the same? How is it possible that my brother and I coincidentally crossed paths with two siblings and started dating them around the same time? My brother and I did not know that we were dating siblings until after we all met each other. Please let me know what you think, Auntie, and if you ever decide to make a video, please send me an email letting me know. Oh, I absolutely will. I always do. Just so you guys know, if I use your story in a video, I will always email you and let you know that it is in a video, and I'll tell you when that video is coming out. Okay, this is freaking wackadoodle. This is so wacky. First, I was like, are you guys related? That was my first thing. I was like, wait, are you guys related? Especially with the maiden last name thing, like, are you related? But you said you're not, so I'm assuming you did your research. Also, even if you were related in this instance, it wouldn't make sense that you also, your parents have the same names and the aunts and uncles have the same. Like, that wouldn't make any sense. Because, like, people who are related don't have the same, everyone doesn't have the same exact fucking names. You know what I mean? This is crazy. It really does feel like and sound like you guys are dating you from another timeline. Like, it really feels like, how do you look? Like, do you look alike at all? Like, does your boyfriend look like your brother at all? I know you said that the names are the same and stuff, but like, does your boyfriend look like your brother at all? Does his girlfriend look like you at all? Is it just like another version of you? Also, like, is that wrong? Is that incestual in any way if you're dating yourselves from another timeline? Like, that whole family feels like they're from another, it feels like there's like a timeline crossover there, and that whole family is from another timeline. And maybe because you said you never heard of these people before and like you literally just met them, maybe like the timelines weren't crossed over before and like they recently became intertwined in that way, and that's when you met them, and that's where everything's fucking crazy. It would be crazy if like one day all of a sudden they weren't there anymore, like they didn't exist. Wouldn't that be crazy? Like, that would be literally crazy. And like, if you say you live in the same town and you know everybody and everybody knows everybody and that kind of thing, do you know, I'm assuming not because you didn't mention it, but like, do you know the house that they live in? Do you remember who lived in that house? I'm going to say probably not. You should try to like look it up. You should try to see if you can see like records of like the house and like how long they've lived there or something like that. And I'm assuming if they're only down the block from you go to the same school. Unless you're older. I don't know how old you are that you did go to the same school. This is freaking crazy. What do you guys think? Please let me know in the comments what you think. Do you think this is them from another timeline, like their family in another timeline? Also, do you think it's okay for them to be dating if that's true? Dating themselves? You know what I mean? Like, I don't even know. This whole thing is literally wild. I've never heard something like this before. Thank you so much for sharing your story. I hope that we can get some sort of like better ideas or answers or confirmation of my answer in the comments. Please let me know. Hi. Hi. Was it because of the mirror or just my house in general? I love your page and the content you post. I'd love to know if someone has had a similar experience or can even explain this. I love you. Thank you for visiting my page, and I'm excited to see what you have to say. I'm not sure if this is a ghost or a glitch story, but regardless, it's something that stayed with me my entire life. Keep in mind, I am now nearly 32. This happened when I was 8. I still to this day tell the story, if I'm asked, of how it happened, and nothing ever changes. It's exactly the same. I'm from a big enough city in Ireland, but unlike the normal leprechaun or banshee stories, this one is a little different. I was an only child until I turned 10 and have always been aware that I've been a bit sensitive to spirits or paranormal situations that happened around me since I was very, very young. I was able to point out relatives that had passed years before I was even born from pictures, and my grandmother used to find it fascinating how I knew who they were, even down to specific details of their jewelry or a middle name/nickname. Even remember these people being at a family event, being able to say what they were wearing or even who they sat with. This was obviously impossible because they were long gone before I was born. I still think it's just weird, and by no means would I ever think I'm psychic or medium, but I remember being able to do it all the time when I was asked. My grandmother never made a big deal out of it, and I never thought much of it. This one specifically stands out in my head, and even talking about it today, I can only feel terror. One day I was coming home from school. I was in the car with my mother and father. It was about 2:45 p.m. We lived in a housing estate that was only built a year before we moved in. As I said, I was only 8 when this happened. When we pulled into the driveway as normal, I jumped out with my school bag and our neighbors were out, so my mother and father were talking to them over the wall like always. I was waiting to get dressed up, go out and play, and as my friend called me, my father was opening the front door and I ran in to get ready. As I did, I could hear my mother shouting, "Don't you put any makeup on your eyes going out because we will be going away later." So as I dropped my school bag and headed up the stairs to my bedroom, my mother and father were still talking outside. I put on the clothes I picked out and I spotted my makeup bag and proceeded to take out all my little makeup bits and mess with them. I don't know why, but for some reason I got up and went into my mom and dad's bedroom next to mine. They had bought a long silver mirror a couple of weeks before this. It was on the wall and perfect to apply makeup. I took a little eyeshadow, roll-on for anyone that remembers these. It was bright blue and kind of like a shimmer color powder. The mirror was facing the bedroom door and you could see the top of the landing clearly if looking into the mirror. As I started putting the roll-on over my left eye, something caught my eye through the mirror behind me. I turned around so fast, thinking I was seeing things. When I walked towards the bedroom door, at the top of the stairs, looking directly at me, was something that looked like Darth Maul, but not Darth Maul, if that makes sense. From someone that has never ever watched Star Wars, it's the only thing I can explain it looking like. After seeing it, I let out such a roar from the fright that my mother and father came running in with the two neighbors that they were talking to. When they came up the stairs, I was bending down, hiding my eyes, still screaming. With the fright I got, I dropped the eyeshadow and the little ball thing popped off the top, and when it hit the floor, the blue powder was all over the floor. After a while, I eventually told them what I saw and described to them that it had a red and black face with black eyes. Sockets, no eyeballs. Ooh. He didn't really seem to have a nose, just the same kind of shape, but wider with holes. There were 5 small gold horn things going from one temple to the other above its eyes, and it had no ears and just stood looking at me. It was completely dressed in black. Even its hands were jet black, nails, everything. It was very, very tall, and from what I could see, was standing 2 or 3 steps down from the top of the stairs. It literally seemed like ages, but obviously it was only a couple of seconds. I had only ever told my mother and father about this, and they had spoken to my grandmother about it. Before myself and my husband got married, we were talking about something one day, and I told him. He was obviously creeped out, but even then, I got goosebumps all over describing it to him. Years and years later, 2016 to 2017, I got in contact with a cousin I hadn't seen since I was really small, And it was so random, but it came up again. So as I told her, I could see her face change. And herself and her husband kept looking at me, but their eyes were really wide. And they both now had the utter look of terror on their faces. Her husband turned and asked me if I had seen any of the Insidious movies. This is exactly what I was thinking! I immediately thought about it. And I think in a way they were both hoping that I said I did, but I hadn't. As they spoke and I listened, and they said I had described something from the movies even though I hadn't ever seen them. They tried to show me, but I wouldn't look and covered my eyes when they got it on Google Images. I don't remember exactly what they called it, but it was the last time we ever spoke about it again. This happened to me when I was 8 or so, and that was 2001. As I said, I have never ever changed any part of it. If I'm asked, I'll always say how it happened without adding legs because it was literally the most terrified I've ever been. Still to this day, I haven't watched any of those movies, and I don't watch Star Wars either. Sincerely confused. Honest to God, when you started describing this thing and you said it looked like Darth Maul, I immediately thought of the thing from Insidious. I'm going to be putting a picture of it on the screen so people can see what I'm talking about if you haven't seen the Insidious movie. So if you don't want to see it, don't watch. Hold on one second. This is the demon from Insidious. First of all, I have to say that just the makeup for this movie was not the best with this character. And this thing literally does not scare me at all. It actually makes me laugh. And it's like seen in a couple of the movies. We're watching the last movie today in our Discord. We do movie nights in Discord, so make sure you come join Discord if you're not in it already. But we're watching the last Insidious movie. I've never seen the Insidious movies before. We started them as a series in movie nights, and we're on the last one. And this character makes me laugh, but he does pop up. But I know that it's not going to make this person laugh because they literally saw something that looked almost exactly like it. But this is what I'm thinking of. This is exactly what I thought of was the Insidious demon, the black and red face, and it kind of looks like Darth Maul a little bit. Yours you described has more horns, so it's probably not exactly like this, but it did sound kind of like a demon, and it's crazy that that's what you're describing. I also think it's like really so super wild that you only saw this one time. Have you never seen it any more times? Like, where did it come from? Like, why did it come out? Like, that is so scary. I have no idea. I literally can't believe that someone was like, yes, have you seen these Insidious movies? I thought when they had the terror on their faces that they were going to see they've also seen it as well. But they were like, have you seen the Insidious movie? That's crazy because that's what I was thinking of. This was really scary. Oh my goodness. Has anyone else seen this kind of being in real life? Let us know in the comments. Also, do you guys think that's what it was? Do you think it was a demon? And like, why would it only show up one time if that's what it was? Like, why would that thing just show up like one random time and scare you? I don't know. This was really scary though. Thank you so much for sharing. Hello, Auntie Matrix. Hi! This might seem long, but I have so many unexplainable events in life, from the paranormal stuff to straight up glitches in the Matrix, and normally I just brush it off and move on, knowing that stuff happens to me all the time, but I'm still perplexed about something that happened yesterday. I should start from the beginning. There's a neighborhood called Carrollton in Bridgeton, Missouri, that was basically torn down for some reason, linked to Lambert Airport in St. Louis. When I was a teenager, me and my friends would go there to practice driving or to explore. By that time, there were abandoned houses still standing, but there was no sign of anyone still living there. No cars or people, just us. It had an eerie feeling to it, and there was multiple occasions where we would get lost and have people come looking for us, and it was as if we weren't in the same dimension. We would be blowing the horn and driving around trying to find each other or the exit. It was as if we were stuck in a loop, but eventually we would find the exit after passing this abandoned hospital a few times. There was also a train track that was like a marker for us. We would be going straight and end up back at the hospital and the train tracks. I've spoken to a few people about it through life, and they had similar strange experiences. So I haven't been back there since I was a teenager, although recently I have the urge to, but I don't. St. Louis Mills Mall was built right next to it a long time ago and is now emptied and mostly abandoned, other than a Cabela's and a giant church. Yesterday, I decided to try to go to the church where they have a pantry. I was trying to make it in time, so I left around 11 a.m. on Sunday. While I was driving there, I remembered that there was a farm on one side of the road I used to go get veggies from, and planned to stop there and then go to the church. The first strange thing was right after the bridge, there was something hanging down from the air. The best way I can explain it is the way it looks makes me sound crazy, but it was upside down and looked like a tiny Spider-Man toy, painted all black, holding on like he would from the web. I could not see what it was hanging from. There wasn't even trees immediately next to or above the area. My instant thought was that it was a fairy. I didn't have time to miss it. I accidentally hit it. It smacked my windshield and went flying, and the mark on the windshield was like a scuff. not like when a bug hits. It was like, whoa. I was like, whoa, that was weird. Then I made the right turn to go to the farm and I drove further than where I remember it being. Everything was overgrown, so my gut told me to turn around. The road wasn't wide enough to make a U turn, so I drove a little further, found the closest farm, and then turned around in the driveway, making my way back towards the mall. I called my mom and was coming down the street, and I told her, I feel like I just crossed into another dimension, jokingly, because it did feel weird, but then I pulled up at the mall at 11:29 and not a soul was there. No cars, no nothing. The lights were all off. Everything was dark. And I'm really like, what the heck is going on? Church there is 10 to 11:30 every Sunday. I assumed that maybe they had a power outage or something that caused them to be closed. I looked up their Facebook page and on Google to see if they were supposed to be closed and didn't find anything. I pulled off and went on my way. I kept thinking about it, and today I looked online and the video from the service was there and shows everything went on as usual yesterday, and they were in fact not closed. I can't wrap my head around it to make sense, so I guess I'll chalk it up to yet another glitch in the Matrix. Thanks for giving us a space to share our stories, because the one person I told today doesn't believe me, even though he personally has experiences in that area as well. Okay, definitely sounds like you crossed into another dimension. I feel like there was maybe like a portal there or something. I know that there's like some weird places like this, like cities and stuff like this, that are just like abandoned, and I don't understand why. It's very creepy. Like, what was that thing that you hit that was like hanging down like a little Spider-Man toy? I don't understand what that could have been. I wonder if that was where the portal was, or like you hitting that did some. Do you still have the scuff mark on your car? That's my question. That's question number 1. Do you still have the mark on your windshield? Number 2, have you ever been back to this place? And was it like normal after that? Was this like the only time that this has happened to you? It's so crazy that you went and you saw that the service was going on. Like you saw the recording of the service or whatever when you were there, right when the service would have been ending, and there was no one there. It definitely sounds like you had some weird glitch in the Matrix where you like switched into another timeline, went through a portal or something. I'm definitely going with you on that. We believe you. I'm sorry the person you told didn't, but we believe you here. That what a crazy story. Let me know what you guys think in the comments, and thank you so much for sharing. Hi, Andy. Hi. I live on the edge of a forest on the west coast of Scotland. Ooh, that sounds beautiful and or maybe scary. I moved here 4 years ago from my home in Northumberland, which is a county in northeast England. My husband and I have been separated for several years, and long story short, we reconciled. He had already moved here. One sunny Sunday, after he had gone to work, I was feeling restless and I decided to go for a walk in the forest. I had only been here a few months, so was careful to stick to a path I knew well. It's popular with locals and tourists, so there were quite a few people about. From my house, you walk along a cycle path for a short way and then turn off up into the forest proper. It's an ancient temperate rainforest and very beautiful. Oh my God, that sounds so nice. Anyway, as you get to the forest trail, you can turn left and walk parallel to the cycle path, which is the trail I took, or you can turn right, which leads toward a gorge with a stream running through it with no way across. As I walked, I kept meeting other people, which for some reason irritated me, so I eventually decided not to continue on the loop, which would bring me back to the cycle path, and turned around to retrace my steps. As I neared the gorge, the path changed. Instead of earth and rocks, it was lush green grass. I thought, that's weird, but kept going towards it. The track back down to the cycle path near my house was there, but the gorge was gone. Everything was quiet, no noise at all, but the forest was beckoning me to carry on. I really wanted to explore this new path, but I knew if I kept going, I couldn't come back. It wasn't scary. I knew this was an invitation, not a trap, and I stopped just before the gorge should be and smiled as I said out loud, "Thank you, forest, but not today. My husband needs me." As I said this, the forest changed back, and I was standing right next to the gorge. I carried on home, and I felt calm and happy, but did not tell my husband, LOL. Fast forward a few weeks, and we went for a walk together. This time we went out the other side of our garden in the opposite direction. That part of the forest isn't always friendly. A few minutes into our walk, I started to feel unwell and couldn't breathe properly, so I decided to go home. As soon as we walked through our gate, I was perfectly fine, but a bit freaked out. My husband could tell, so I told him about my earlier experience. He sat quietly for a while and then told me that he had been out for a walk one day before we got back together. He knows the forest very well, but thought that something was wrong, but couldn't put his finger on it. He kept going and then realized that the river was running the wrong way. It was going uphill. He freaked out and turned straight for home. We've had many odd experiences here, but have agreed that if we're together and the forest invites us again, we're going to say yes. We know we won't come back, but we know we'll be happy. Thanks for reading. Friend, are you crazy? What do you mean you're going to say yes? This sounds like a fae trap to me. I know that you said it didn't feel like a trap. It felt friendly and inviting, but it feels like a fae trap. And I feel like a fae trap feels inviting because it wants you to come. It wants you to come through it. I would not say yes. Do not say yes. Oh my God. What if you said yes and you disappear forever? What if you said yes and something crazy happens and then you come back to if you do say yes and you don't disappear forever and you come back, please write to me and tell me what happened because I need to know. But I'm sorry, it sounds like a fae trap to me. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. This was crazy though, and thank you so much for sharing. Hi. I have a story for you. My daughter and I worked together and we were headed to work at the time. We lived in the country on a road that crossed 3 creeks. We could turn either way out of our driveway to get to work. The creek to the east of us was far out of its banks and there was no way we could cross the bridge there. To the west were 2 creeks, neither which were ever known to be impassable, but on this day the rain had come so hard and fast. We basically hit a wall of water that was rushing across the road hard enough that my bumper fell off. I threw the vehicle in reverse and began backing up the road. To the north of me was a gravel drive and there was a small partially rusted grain bin. We turned in there and turned around and went back home. When we told the story of our survival to my husband later, he asked, "What grain bin?" insisting that no such grain bin existed on the north side of the road between us and that creek. After the rain calmed down, we went for a drive and there was no grain bin. We walked all the way into town thinking maybe we were further down the road than we thought, but still no grain bin. Near as we could tell then, it was angels. Now I think maybe we died. Oh my God, that was like such a turn. Okay, first when you said grain bin, I'm like, I don't know what that is. And I was like literally picturing like a small little bin or like maybe not like small, but like a bin, like a smaller bin. And I'm thinking, okay, like if it was a small like bin, maybe it got moved or like something happened. But then I like looked up what is a grain bin and it's literally like, it's basically like a silo size, like it's giant and holds a bunch of grain, like a silo. I've never heard of it called like a grain bin before, but I don't know words sometimes. So that can't be moved. That can't just friggin' get kicked down the road or like be moved. So yes, I guess it could be either. I'm going to say if you saw the bin and then you turned around at the bin, but there was no bin when you went back, perhaps that was put there by a guide angel, whoever, to help you be able to turn around so you could get out of there. I don't necessarily think you died. I don't know what you would have died from. It doesn't seem like you were like close to an accident or something like that. Maybe the water, but I'm going that something put that there to help you out. So that's what I'm going to go with, but I'm not really sure. Let me know what you guys think in the comments, and thank you so much for sharing your story. Hey, Auntie Matrix. Hi, I love your videos. I love you. So I thought I'd share 2 stories of mine. It's not scary or spooky, but more wholesome, I think. Around summer, 2 years ago, my sisters, back then 9, and my childhood dog started getting sick. Bowel cancer. Oh my goodness, I'm so sorry. She was an American Bulldog mix. Her name was Frida. During that time, I've become sick myself. We had undiscovered mold in the house right below my room, which caused me to develop chronic allergic asthma, but no one would diagnose me or treat me right for over a year. And sadly, I've developed an allergy towards Frida. Oh, but when I got sick, I didn't care. I'd lay with her all day long, outside in the field on several blankets. I didn't care how many rashes I'd have or how repeatedly I would have to sneeze. Fast forward, Frida passed away in her sleep at 8 years old. I'm so sorry. It was a tough time, especially for my sister, as Frida was her best friend. That dog was so well behaved and understanding. She was so clever and really the best little friend a girl could ever ask for. My sister is still grieving to this day, so we decided last year to celebrate Dias de los Muertos, Day of the Dead, but for pets. My sister collected Frida's favorite things, toys and snacks, and built a little ofrenda. What's that? Ofrenda. I don't know what that is. Decorated with rose petals, candles, treats, pictures, you name it. It sounds like an altar. Sadly, though, we totally switched the dates. I think it was actually supposed to be on the 27th, but we thought it was on the 28th. The ofrenda and Frida's gifts were still already placed on the 27th. The whole evening on the 27th, I had rashes, sneezed, had swollen eyes, and asthma attacks. I showered and changed probably 6 times that day to get rid of my allergies somehow. I took all of my emergency medication, but nothing. We didn't realize why I felt this way until the next day, where we checked the dates again, and well, we really believe that Frida visited us on the 27th Otherwise, I couldn't explain all the allergies and attacks I felt that day since I didn't do anything differently. Another story is also about Frida, my great grandmother that sadly passed away when I was 2 years old. My sister didn't even meet her. But from stories I know, my mom and her dad had a beautiful bond. Now to the story that warms my heart. Whenever I am ill, having a cold or influenza of some sort, my sister automatically has it too. Same thing the other way around. That's why we both stay home alone together whenever we're sick so my mom can go to work. My parents are separated. We mainly live in the living room whenever we're sick. It offers easy access to the bathroom and the kitchen. I remember having a horrible fever one day. I couldn't move. I couldn't do anything. I had fever dreams, cold sweats, pressure on my forehead, and all that comes with it. I was laying on the couch, awake, but with my eyes closed. When I felt the couch lower next to me, like someone was sitting down, I could smell a familiar scent. I can't even describe it, but it smelled homey. I thought my mom came home early and just stayed that way. I felt a hand very softly stroking my back and my hair. That hand was cold, but it was lovely. I turned a bit to greet my mom, but she wasn't there. But the couch still had this spot as if someone sat there. I could still feel a hand on me, and somehow I wasn't freaked out. It felt warm and loving. I fell asleep again right on the spot, and when I woke up, I thought it was perhaps just an illusion. Until my sister came downstairs from her room and asked me how come I managed to stroke her back and her hair and sit beside her, and when she wanted to look at me, I wasn't there. Just the spot on the mattress as if someone sat beside her. She wanted to know how I left that fast and so quietly. We couldn't have possibly both hallucinated the same thing at the same time. I couldn't have stroked her. I couldn't even climb the stairs, and I was asleep. So I got up and looked around for my mom. It was getting late, hence why I assumed she was already home. But just in that moment, she came home through the front door. My sister and I were confused but not freaked out. We both told our mom the same thing, and she told us that she assumes it was a loving family member looking after us. It couldn't have been my mom. Our house is old and the doors are loud and squeaky. Even sick, it would have been loud enough to at least wake me. So it was just truly beautiful and magical. What is this picture that we have attached right here? Oh, is that the puppy? This is Frida, by the way. Oh, look at Frida. What a cutie. What's the name of the dog from Little Rascals? Because doesn't he have like a patch on his eye like that? I love that Frida came to visit you. That was so, so sweet. And I love that, like, she really was definitely there because you were having crazy allergic reactions for no reason. So she was definitely there visiting you. That is so, so nice. And I also agree with your mom. That was definitely a loving family member that had passed in spirit, or an ancestor or guide or something like that, taking care of you while you were feeling sick, you and your sister. And that's crazy that you were in different places and you both felt the same thing. Someone was definitely taking care of you guys. Those are very heartwarming stories. Thank you so much for sharing them. Let me know what you guys think about them in the comments. Dear Anti-Matrix, hi, how are you? I am good. How are you? I don't want to give you my personal name, so I'll give you a name my older sister and I go by constantly. My name is Samantha, but I get called Sammy a lot. And my older sister's name is Dean. I want to tell you a story that happened to my sister and I. Stop it, Sam and Dean. Our story. My sister messaged me that she had something to show me, and I didn't think anything of it. My sister lives with our mom and dad while I live with my fiance, Jonathan. My sister found a letter in her journal, and she didn't write it, and I didn't either. I didn't even know of the journal, and I wasn't even at the house at the time that it showed up. We are reality shifters, which means we believe that we have the ability to cross into other realities. It doesn't matter if the reality is alternative or from a TV show, we think we can go to either. We decided to have a reality based off the popular TV show Stranger Things. My sister attempted to go there one night, and the next day the letter appeared. I just found out about it. It was written to a girl named Alexa and from a girl named Sophie. Sophie was writing to Alexa to watch over her cousin and their friends while she and her twin brother were in Cali. It was dated October 16th, 1986. We had no idea who wrote it and how it appeared. We didn't know exactly who Sophie or Alexa were, so we compared the letter to the entry before with my sister's writing, and it didn't match at all. We decided to have me write it down, and it was an extremely close match. The weird part was I have no memory of writing it at all. I wasn't there when it appeared. The more I looked at it, it felt like I wrote it and I could see myself writing it. There were drawings of vines, a snail, and hearts near the name Alexa. I had pulled out a card that I bought for Jonathan. It was detailed in the way the letter was, very similar. It was as if I had written it. If you believe in other realities, then I did write it. At least some other version of me did. I found a script on our desired reality, and the names were the same as the letter. Why did it appear here? Why now? Who wrote that letter? Just how? I have no idea how it appeared here. I have no idea why. I'm guessing the me from 1986 named Sophie wrote the letter and why I have vague memories of it. The thing is, it shouldn't exist here, not in this reality. I wanted your advice. Wait, I have so many questions about you being reality shifters. Like, so you're saying like that you can just like make a reality and go there, or like choose one and just like go there. When you're saying you're going there, are you like shifting there permanently? Are you shifting there to visit? Are you going there while you sleep? Like, are you astral projecting there while you sleep? Are you astral traveling there, sorry, while you sleep? Are you astral traveling there while you're awake? I have like literally so many questions, but I will say I do think it's really, really weird that this letter that seems to have been from a you in another reality possibly is here in this reality when it should be from a different reality. That just seems like a timeline crossover situation to me. That's what I would assume, unless it's some weird glitch in the Matrix, I guess. I don't know. But I would assume that it's some sort of timeline crossover, like these two timelines are crossing over in such a way. Or is it possible that, like, one of you visited? Well, you said that your sister visited, right? Attempted to go there. And the next day the letter appeared. So maybe, like, she brought it back, but she doesn't remember? Do you know what I mean? It is also weird that it's in her journal, but it looks like it was written from you. So like in the other reality, is that your journal? And when you say the letter, was it in the journal as if it was like one of the pages in the journal, like it was written as part of the actual journal? Or was it like a letter, separate piece of paper stuck inside the journal? Because that would make sense then if, you know, she brought it back somehow from the other reality, or if it like glitched over from the other reality and like the actual letter is like in there. But if it's written in the journal as if she wrote it, but she didn't write it, and it looks like it's from like another version of you, then I would say that's some sort of like two timelines like merging together in a really weird way. Do you know what I mean? I have so many questions about this, but that is my take on this. Has anything like this ever happened before or again? Since writing this, have you gotten any more things from like other realities coming in? Let me know the answers to your questions, and let me know what you guys think in the comments. And thank you so much for sharing your story. Hey, Andy Matrix. Hi. I have a few stories to tell you. Sorry, but not sorry for the longer stories. Yes, I know you love the longer ones. Also, sorry for any typos I have going on in these stories. So here goes. No worries at all. And we love the long stories. Story number 1. Back in 2015, I lived in Brainerd, Minnesota. I was 18, renting a storefront with a friend who loved to drink and party. Who does that? By the way, at the time, it was cheap, and her dad lived in an apartment above the storefront that we took showers at. I feel like I have the starts of insomnia as I was on day/night 4 of no sleep. Oh my God. I'm exhausted, to say the least. My roommate at the time, again, chose to party that night. Me and her had gotten into an argument about the partying as my dad had paid our rent and was kind enough to restock our groceries. It was a part of the agreement to not be partying, and we were to pay my parents back. So I walked out and set out to go to a safe place, which happened to be my grandma's house in Baxter, Minnesota. I walked for what felt like forever. It took me an hour and a half to walk. When I got to my grandma's house, I knocked on the door and asked to stay the night as I hadn't slept in about 4 days due to my roommate partying. She told me that she thought I was using heavy drugs and I was not welcome due to my minor sister living there. I was hurt and confused, but totally understand the thought process of why she had told me no. I will say that I was sober from everything but alcohol. On my way back to Brainerd, a few things happened. Thing 1, as I was walking down the road at the stop sign, which is at the end of the road, there was a single street light with what I call the Green Bay Packers garbage can under it. I see a gray, translucent, smoky, dog-like creature with red eyes. I was petrified. I was frozen in my spot. Me and the creature locked eyes. It turned its head and ran off into the dark. Thing 2, as I was walking across Highway 371, there was a silver Porsche with a guy who was at the red light by a Holiday gas station who parked his car, got out, and started to catcall and asked how much I cost. I ignored him. As I passed him, a cop came by, thank God, and he drove away. Thing 3, I was followed by a graper van for a mile and a half, which I dodged by taking the trails on several occasions. Thing 4, the whole way I was tired enough to see what I call my shadow people. They're not friendly whatsoever, scaring me the entire hour and a half. I walked to a local park, which had a bridge that I contemplated sleeping tucked underneath the bridge. I ultimately ended up going back to the storefront and ultimately sleeping for 8 hours. Hold on, there is a picture. Oh, is this the walk that they made? Wonder why they're showing us the walk that they made. Interesting. Okay, story number 2. Well, hold on. Let's like talk about story number 1 really quick. First of all, we can attribute some of this to hallucinations from you not sleeping for 4 days, right? But my thing is do we think that people hallucinate when they're not sleeping because them not sleeping and their body being so exhausted puts them in like an in-between state where they're more easily able to see through the veil. Does that make sense? And also, if you guys were partying a lot and drinking and doing drugs and things like that, that can definitely attract negative entities to you, negative energy, negative entities, negative beings. So your shadow people sound kind of scary, and it sounds like you have some attachments. I don't know if the attachments are causing the behavior or if the behavior caused the attachments, but either way, that's really scary. And what was that dog? Did you see a hellhound, dude? Like, what? Okay, story number 2. I seen and felt a demonic entity. Back in 2021, I lived in an apartment that was marked. It had a demonic cross in the paint of the trimming of our apartment door. Again, I was in Brainerd, Minnesota. So don't live in Brainerd, Minnesota is what I'm hearing. At this point, I had my son and daughter that were 3 years and 4 years old, who were attached at the hip with me, but on occasions would go to my dad's and mom's house for the weekend. They have always been very hands-on grandparents in the good way. These couple of incidents happened while my children were with my parents and my husband was an over-the-road semi-trucker. Incident 1. I was laying in bed relaxing. Before going to bed, I heard a very clear but mumbled male and female voices having a conversation in my children's room, I think. I tried to turn my TV to mute it to try to understand what was being said. As the TV was on mute, however, it got more mumbled and quieter, so I couldn't figure out what was being said. Very annoying and frustrating that I couldn't figure out exactly where it was coming from in my apartment. I stopped allowing my children in that room and used it for storage. Incident 2. I was cleaning the apartment and had to go into the storage room. I am extremely spiritual and have always been good at making archways to block negative energy from running rampant in my home, basically trapping the energy to one spot. I went into the storage room to grab something and move on to doing my task cleaning my apartment. As I was cleaning, my side started to hurt. I looked down and there was a bite mark, deep purple, black, in the size of a child's mouth, teeth and all. What? Incident 3. In this apartment, I often seen a hand and arm reaching out of the bathroom door. I would also see the outline of a little girl in a white gown and really long jet black hair. I will note that this is what made me think it was a demonic entity, but she moved very fast and I could not see the face clearly until I seen her standing in my living room window, and she had dark eyes. At the time, I had my little sister and her best friend staying with me that night. I was cooking and my sister and her friend were in my living room. I hear them freaking out, so I go into my living room to see what is going on. As I entered, they started talking over each other to try to tell me that they seen an arm and a hand come out of the back of my couch, scaring them. I then had to explain the little girl that I continuously see in the apartment. Incident 4. I had a friend and her husband and kids come stay the night from the Minneapolis area. They immediately picked up on the dark energy. I had to explain everything that has happened to me in this apartment. They had the idea to take pictures to see if anything popped up on the picture. In the center of the wall, almost on the ceiling, if you zoom in very noticeably, there is a face. It has hollow white eyes, a very distinct nose and chin with a possible beard. I look at this picture every once in a while and it still gives me full body chills. Oh my God, wait, is this the picture? Oh my God, we have the picture. Okay, near the ceiling. Where? Wait, this right here? If it's this right here, I feel like that's coming in like sideways. You know what I mean? Like if this is standing up straight, that is coming in like sideways. Is that what you're talking about? I don't see a beard. I like literally see, and I never see faces. I literally see a face. I see eyes, a nose, a mouth. It looks like dark hair. Like this looks like a child's face to me. If this is what you're talking about, this looks like a child's face to me. Why is it coming out sideways though? That's giving me like so many chills. The child's face goes along with what you were saying. I don't see a beard though. If you're talking about like down here being darker, I think that's just like shadow, because this definitely looks like a fucking child's face. Oh my God. I hated this apartment, and my now husband and then boyfriend and daughter's father was working extremely hard to save money to get into another place. However, I was very much stuck living in an extremely haunted apartment. I also wish I kept the picture of all the apartment doors having the same demonic cross on the trimming of the doors. Yes, wait, can we see that? Oh, you can't see that here. It's too dark. It's too dark in here, but the fact that there was symbols on the doors, I'm wondering, were they bad symbols or were they supposed to be like protective symbols? Like, are those symbols something that maybe drew this entity, this being to that apartment? Or are these symbols trying to like keep it trapped in there so it can't leave? Or like, or protect you from it? Or like, what? Don't touch the symbols. Like, just in case, like, have you looked them up? I would love to see pictures. I know you don't have pictures, but I would love to have seen pictures of them so we could like maybe Google image search them or whatever and figure out what kind of symbols they were, because it could have been warding or it could have been something else. I don't know, but that looks like a little girl's face to me. And the fact that you had a little girl's fucking bite mark. No, thank you. So many chills when you said that. And you saw the little girl and the arm, and nope, there was definitely a being there. And the fact that people didn't like the way it felt, it doesn't sound like great energy. I don't know what it could have been, but very scary, very scary. Okay, you had another one, right? Story number 3. Back in 2019, I lived with a friend's mom. Me and my family had fallen into a hard spot financially due to over half of our income going to child support and to falling out with my family. I also had just lost my grandpa. My sister's friend's mom had 2 houses, the one I lived in and the one that she would be at with her husband for the week. Now, a backstory to this house. I very much experienced the dark energy immediately. My sister's friend lived there. This house was also a 3-story, or is it 2-story? I don't know. It has a finished basement, the main level, and rooms on the upper floor. Gorgeous house, big yard, and a 3-season porch. I stayed in the basement. Nope. Why are you staying in the basement, boo? I know it probably wasn't your decision, but still. Also, before I continue with the story, I found out that my sister's friend played with a Ouija board in the basement. Well, that's going to be a problem. Moving forward, my experience with this house was loud bangs when me and my children were in the house by ourselves. I heard manic laughter with my name being called. I was walking into the living room at one point and you could see the hallway walls that went upstairs, but something caught my eye, so I went up the steps and looked on the wall. On the wall was a handprint in the paint. The handprint wasn't exactly human. It had nails that came to a point, long extended fingers, and a bigger palm print than my hand. I heard children playing while my children were sleeping. The overall experience in this house was creepy. It sounds creepy. You don't by chance have a picture? No, you don't have a picture of the hand. I would love to have seen the handprint. I was wondering what makes the handprint not exactly human, but the super long fingers, the size of it, and the freaking nails. Scary. And you had more kid ghosts? I wonder, are you bringing these things with you? Are these things attached to you? If every place you go, there's some crazy shit that happens? Oh no, maybe that was the Ouija board. What did they bring through with the Ouija board? Okay, story number 4. Back in 2022, I was going to my storage unit, which is behind the fairgrounds in town, heavily wooded with a swamp attached. It's dark and I'm using my car to dig in my storage unit for more clothes. I was doing my thing when out of nowhere, but too close for comfort, I heard a mix of coyote/wolf howl. I immediately closed my storage unit, slammed my trunk closed, and get the hell out of there. Me and my friend who is native came with me and went to her house. We were talking about what happened. She tells me she has a tattoo on her hand as a sort of SW beacon. Who is getting a Skinwalker beacon tattoo? Why? Needless to say, I am no longer friends with her and claim none of that energy. Thank you, good job. I believe that I got a warning because I was close to one or multiple Skinwalkers that night. But the other thing I think of all the time is, why did I get a warning? What was going on that night? I don't know. What are your thoughts? Thank you for reading my stories. I did have even more stories about demonic entities, black-eyed children, and a succubus, seeing my husband's memories, and so much more, but that is for a different day and time. Holy moly pasta fagioli. Oh my goodness. Why is it that there's some people that their whole lives is like paranormal, crazy fucking shit stories? Crazy stories. I don't know if that was a warning, because normally skinwalkers, right? One of the things that they're known to like look like is like a coyote or a wolf or something like that. So I don't know if that was a warning or if that was literally a skinwalker in coyote's wolf form howling at you. I'm glad that you got out of there, but I'm sorry. Why the fuck would she have a beacon, a skinwalker beacon tattoo? What does that even look like is my question. What does that even look? Let me look it up. Is there like a, hold on. I have no idea. I tried to look it up. The closest thing I'm getting is like the Skinwalker Ranch logo, which that can't be it. Why would you have that? Especially as a native? Like normally indigenous peoples like know what the fuck's going on with that shit and they don't want it by them. Why? Why would you have that? That's freaking wild. You have some crazy stories. Let me know what you guys think about all this in the comments, and thank you so much for sharing your stories. Hi, Auntie Matrix. Hi. I have two stories today, not scary, just weird. Story number one. Okay. So about 10 years ago, my dad was on a job site and was trying to call his coworker, and as the phone was ringing, lightning struck about 100 yards away from him, and he heard a click, and all of a sudden, he heard Chinese people talking. Now, this was on a programmed contact in his work phone of someone he spoke to regularly. For days, every time my dad tried to call this one guy, it was the same Chinese talking. He finally tracked the guy down in person, and the guy didn't believe him, so my dad handed him the phone and told him to call himself, and sure enough, the same Chinese talking. He ended up having to delete the contact and reprogram it to get it to connect to his coworker again. Not super scary, but weird nonetheless. Okay, that's freaking so weird. Okay, so if the lightning had struck like his phone in particular, I could see why it would maybe fuck some shit up, right? But like for there to be a lightning strike about 100 yards away and it went like click and then it was like, I don't understand. What do you mean? And then when you reprogrammed it was fixed. So that doesn't even make any sense. Because like it would have to mess with the programming of that number. It was not like the number changed. It's like the lightning like hit some invisible cell phone information waves in the sky and fucked with something, which I mean, I guess is possible because everything is energy, but really fucking weird, dude. How weird. Okay, next one. Story number two. A few months ago, I had a craving for a candy bar, but I wasn't sure which one I wanted, but ended up getting a Milky Way share size at a gas station on my way to the grocery store. Oh my God, Milky Ways are like my favorite. I get to the store and put the remaining whole piece, as well as the rest of the other portion I hadn't eaten yet, in the door pocket of my car. I go inside and do my shopping and come back out to see my candy bar laying on the ground smushed. So I picked it up and got in my car only to find my candy bar. Now, when I tell you they were both opened the same way, had the same amount eaten, both were the share size, only difference was the one found outside was kind of smashed. I was so confused. I did not eat any of the one I found outside, lol, but is that one weird coincidence? Love you, love your channel. I love you too. Okay, that's freaking weird. First you were like, you found it on the ground. I'm like, okay, so you opened your door, it fell out, and you probably stepped on it or someone else stepped on it or something happened, and that's what happened. But then it was in your car still, opened the same way. That's a really weird glitch. That definitely sounds like a weird glitch in the Matrix timeline crossover where you had a smushed one. Maybe one that fell out of the car and one that didn't fall out of the car, one that stayed in the car. How freaking weird. And thank you for not eating the smushed one. I didn't think that you did, but thanks for clarifying. These were both really, really weird. Let me know what you guys think in the comments, and thank you so much for sharing your stories. Hi. Someone on the channel gave me your email as I've been trying to get this off my chest and see other people's opinions of what happened. Also, please bear with me as English is not my first language and it's a long history. No worries. Excited to see what it is. So everything started with a dream I had. This was in 2021 to 2022. The dream was super real and lucid. I was in a car with some friends and we went on a tunnel, but at some point, the tunnel started getting smaller to the point I found myself being dragged into a really small hole that could barely fit me. When I looked into the hole, I saw your typical hell scenario, like the one they describe in the movies, but I needed to think fast as the hole was getting smaller. This guy, he is super important in this whole thing. Super white, skinny, bleached, curly hair, wearing an orange jail type of uniform, gave me his hand and helped me. Once I was there, he told me that he could see I wasn't belong there and he didn't belong there either, so he was trying to find the train, and once we jumped in there, we were going to be able to escape. Everyone else in there looked like zombies. I think that's the best way to describe it, but fast and aggressive. All of them were covered in blood and injuries. And while this blonde guy was holding my hand, trying to find the way out for us, all the others were trying to attack us. The blonde guy had a knife. He was breaking us through until a group of them got him really injured just across the exit where we could see the train. On the train, I saw an officer. He looked at me and instantly knew if I was with the blonde guy. In the state he was now in, he wouldn't let us through. I didn't think much. I only wanted to escape, and I grabbed his knife and cut his hand that was grabbing my one, and I ran to the train. Once on the train, I went to another stop, and there was my mom and a few others from my family, one auntie, his husband. They asked me to come in their little car, but they wanted my mom out of it. I fought with all of them to get my mom in the car, and I think just after that, I woke up. I'm a person who has really lucid dreams, and many of those times I know I'm dreaming, but on this specific one, even though because of the whole scenario, I knew it was a dream, it felt so real to the point that even today, after all these years, part of me thinks that that really happened in another dimension or something. After that night, my house energy changed a lot, and I mean a lot. I felt drained as soon as I stopped my car on the driveway. My dog would stay inside during the day when I was at work, and once inside, he wouldn't go past the corridor. He would bark all night. He would stay looking at corners and growling. My daughter, 6 at the time, would do the same. She stopped smiling. Her eyes were gone. The house became cold, and I started seeing shadows out of the corner of my eyes. Things would appear in completely different places. That we had this specific room that was empty. They got a super heavy energy, so I closed and fully avoided it. But I could see shadows walking past inside from the bottom of the door. I usually am not scared of any paranormal things, and I can say I wasn't scared, but I was drained. One night, the camera on my daughter sent me an alert. So I opened and saw the most disturbing thing. I'm attaching the video. Ooh. Oh my God, we love this. We love when we have videos, and pictures are so great. If you see this and decide to post it, I let you post the clip of her. I'm fine with it. As soon as I saw that, I ran into her room, grabbed her, and locked us up in my room. My dog would not stop barking to my door, and that night I felt scared of it for the first time. Once we were on my bed, I started asking her, what was she seeing? She kept saying nothing. I carried on asking her, and at some point her voice changed. It was a full-grown man talking out of her mouth and said, I will destroy this family. And asked her again, what did you say? And she, on her voice, said, nothing. I did not say nothing. I carried on asking her, and some masculine voice replied, the same as before. And then my daughter fell asleep that night, and my dog barked until the sun came out again. Oh my God. After this, I started talking to people, and 2 Christian priests came to my house to bless it. And when they were walking around, and I finally got to that room I mentioned, before they left my house, running, I was asking questions, but they only talked to me. Once they were completely out of my house, the old man said to me that when he was praying on that room, he heard a voice saying, get out of my house. That night, I asked my daughter how many people live in our house, and she said 4. I asked her, who are they? And she said, Mommy, Gordo, our dog, me, and the guy who loves hurting Gordo. It's hurting the dog. I asked her, who is that guy? Can you describe him? She said, he is skinny and tall. He is super white. He is wearing an orange uniform, and he doesn't have one of his hands. Stop. Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. I have so many chills right now. Are you serious? I don't know if I can go on reading this story. It's too scary. Please know I never mentioned that dream to her or anyone around her, so it was impossible for her to know about him. I panicked and started checking for someone that could help me. One lady told me she could see that there was a figure attached to my daughter and that he looks like he was covered in dirt or something, and she thought the guys from the orange uniform maybe followed me and got attached to her. As she was more innocent and weaker because all the weird things happening in my house were at this point happening wherever we went. A few months went by, and please know that if I could, I would have left that house, but a lot of circumstances made this an impossible thing for me. Also, the fact that I knew whatever it was following us, I thought moving houses wasn't going to help either. At this point, and for different reasons, mostly health reasons, all the people that were in the car when I met my mom in the dream were gone. I don't know details about it as they were family, but I was never close to my family, and I live on the other side of the world. What do you mean? All of the people passed away? They were in that car? Oh my God. After a lot of people came to my house and tried helping us with no results, and weird things carry on happening for months, including me waking up covered in bruises and weird rash on my skin, another priest came back. He knew the whole situation. He was prepared, I guess, and he baptized my daughter on the house. And my daughter was jumping and laughing at them, screaming during the whole thing. My house felt super heavy, was weird energy, but by the end of it, my daughter fell asleep on my lap and everything went calm. Anyway, since that day, everything went back to normal, and knowing everything was behind us, we moved houses. Now telling a bit more about everything since I was a kid, I always said my guardian angel was a black wolf, a really big one, and up until this day, I can still feel him and I dream about him. But during that time, he was completely gone. And after everything went back to normal, my wolf came back. And regarding him, that's a completely different history that if you want, I can tell you in another email, because that one is another hell of a ride. Yes, of course we want it. Yes. Anyways, thank you for reading. If you did, please let me know if you ended up posting it. Oh my God. Oh my God. This could be a movie. Okay. So I believe, obviously, that when we're sleeping, a lot of the time we are astral traveling to different places, times, dimensions, whatever we're doing. It happens all the time. People do it all the time. And it sounds like if that dream felt so real to you that you were astral traveling in that moment, I do not know who that person was, the tall white man with the hair and everything, because it seemed like in the dream he was trying to help you not go to that bad place that like looked like hell. And then he got hurt trying to help you. And then you were trying to get on this train, but since the guy wouldn't let you come on because of the really white guy, you cut his hand off to go by yourself. And I feel like he was pissed about that. And he friggin' attached himself, came back with you, and then was like, I don't know how came back with you, but somehow came back with you and then like got attached to your daughter. And like, this is freaking so nuts and crazy. I am so glad that you finally found someone to help you, that you finally found a priest who was able to basically do like an exorcism situation or get rid of the attachment and everything's okay. Oh my God. It definitely sounds like that. And the fact that all the people in the car passed away, you said except your mom, right? You didn't say except your mom, but you didn't say including your mom, because I know in the dream you were trying to get your mom in the car and they wouldn't let her. So maybe that was because she wasn't supposed to pass yet, but everybody else in the car was like going to the other side. This is so wild, you guys. So crazy. Oh my God, I almost forgot we have a freaking video. We have a video. Hold on. Okay, let's watch. Someone has been spotted. Someone has been spotted in the kids' room. Oh, I think that's her. It's like saying that. Okay, all right. She's moving her head around weird, and that's okay. Sometimes kids are just weird. It's freaking me out a little bit, though. What is she doing? Hold on a second. What did we hear at the end there? I'm going to turn the sound up. I'm going to play it again. So like in the beginning here, she seems to be like backing up from something. And I know kids are weird, but I don't like this. Okay, I'm assuming that voice was you, maybe yelling to her. Did you guys see anything else in the video, by the way, that I missed? Like, did I miss something else in the video, like some sort of shadow or something? Because it didn't say what we were looking for in the video. It just said it was really disturbing, and I didn't see anything else. But I did not like the way that it looked like she kind of like backed up, and that she was doing this a lot was really freaky. And I don't know if it's just because I'm like looking for something scary, because I know kids can be like weird sometimes, but I don't know, that really freaked me out. I don't know. This was freaking so scary though. I need to know what you guys think. Please let me know in the comments. Thank you so much for sharing with us. That concludes our creepy compilation for today. If you like videos like this, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. But if you want to keep it going right now, you can check out this video or this playlist.